everyone. Welcome to the backstory. I'm the Pink Lady and I'll be your host today. Today I'm going to be showing you 40 photographs that are super bizarre and the stories behind them. So let's get into it. This is the last photo ever taken of kayaker Andrew McCauley. In 2007, Andrew set out to cross the Tasman Sea by himself on his kayak, in an attempt to become the first person to kayak from Australia to New Zealand. Sadly, he never made it, and his capsized kayak was found off the New Zealand coast. In a tape recovered from the kayak, the late adventurer said he hoped he hadn't bitten off more than he could chew. Definitely save this trick next time you are looking for some creative shadow puppets on your next slumber party. No one will ever expect such a snazzy trick to be displayed. Although it may be technically cheating, since these shadows are not made from your hands, you will leave everyone speechless. Beware of the possible nightmares these creepy shadow babies might cause, though, as they are slightly disturbing. The most intriguing part of this picture is that the babies, although they look quite similar, have such distinct features that they could honestly seem real. There is little creepier than a run-down bathroom with a mysterious and unexplainable staircase within it. To make matters worse, this staircase is not only also very run-down but it also leads into the abyss. Where did it once lead and why would anyone ever want to build a staircase directly next to a toilet? There are so many questions about this strange image that will probably never be answered. Is there a door at the end of the stairwell? If so, is it locked, or closed, or perhaps there is no handle at all? This is really the inspiration they use to make horror films. It would probably be quite difficult for you to find a worse place to sit anywhere in the world. Imagine if somehow you didn't see the enormous nest or hive of bees that set up camp on your bicycle seat. You would certainly be in for the ride of your life within a short amount of time. Despite the sheer horror that this picture invokes, you can't help but be somewhat impressed by the hive's structure. What made those bees decide on that bike in particular as their resting place? Interesting indeed to choose the underside of a bicycle seat over a tree or a bush. It looks as if the 1960s thriller called The Birds was possibly actually inspired by true events. Rome was actually covered in a blanket of black birds, blocking almost the entire sky from view. It almost looks like a mosquito infestation or a swarm of gnats until you examine the contents of the picture more closely. At least most of the people around are in the safety of their own car. This is the stuff nightmares are made of. Birds can be kind of intimidating individually. Can you imagine an enormous swarm of them covering the entire sky? That is some scary stuff. If you are looking for the perfect prank to play on your friends and family, you may have just found it. Despite the fact that it was discovered by mistake and probably almost gave someone a heart attack before they understood what was going on, the idea can be used elsewhere. However, if you're living alone, make sure to bring your boots inside at night so you don't wake up terrified that there is an intruder waiting at your door. You can almost imagine someone gazing in fear at the door, waiting for the mysterious boots to make a move. 5 minutes pass, then 10, then 20. Yikes. Besides stating the obvious, that something is clearly very wrong with the cabbages growing in this field, the pure surrealness of the image is something to be admired. What exactly is going on here? It really looks like some leftover form of alien waste, or strange massive eggs waiting to be hatched. Very few people would assume from just one look that these strange egg-like substances shooting out of the ground are in fact just a bunch of cabbages. The serious question to be asked here, after admiring the strange photo, is what exactly is going on with these cabbages? Although nothing can really be proved from just these interesting maps alone, there is something to be investigated based on the concerning images. The maps correlate almost too perfectly between mysterious and unexplained disappearances and the United States' largest cave systems. No one wants to think about what could be going on in those caves, but the picture these maps are painting seems to go beyond mere coincidence. It seems like it is only a matter of time before Netflix takes these maps and uses them as the inspiration for their next crime documentary series. The sky and its fluffy-shaped clouds have a habit of looking like many different items. But perhaps you never expected the skies above to look like a scratch and sniff sticker or a scrape-away surprise board. It looks like some celestial being decided to scratch away a portion of the clouds to make way for a little bit of blue skies for the people down below to enjoy. The clouds themselves are also quite stunning in this picture, but the contrast with the bright, almost cobalt blue sky is spectacular to a new level. It's hard to tell if the roof console that suddenly fell with a shocked look on its face or the passenger is more scared from this surprising turn of events. Turned upside down, these lights and mirror look an awful lot like a screaming robot, surprised to have been discovered. Honestly, its innocence is quite endearing and the little man seems friendly, even if he is a bit scared. To some extent, this picture looks a bit like Edvard Munch's famous Screaming Man painting. It's just missing the accompanying hands to exemplify the shock on the face. At first glance, this picture almost looks unreal. It's hard to tell where the water begins and where it ends. If it even does truly end. Called Nemo 33 and located in Brussels, this deep-water indoor pool continues into the depths for a whopping 33 meters, or 108 feet. If you're fearless when it comes to extreme depths of water, then grab your flippers and a scuba diving set and jump right in. It's interesting to see that one of the divers is taking photographs of what appears to be a simple concrete wall. What does he see that others don't? The first thought that most certainly runs through your mind upon seeing this photo is wondering if this is in fact a real animal. And the answer is yes. Not only is this a real bird known as the harpy eagle, but it also happens to be the largest eagle in the entire world with a wingspan of over 7 feet. That terrifying look is warning you to be careful and stay away. The human-like eyes and enormous size of this creature, combined with its regal and yet threatening pose, really make this bird look like an adult dressed up in a bird costume. Getting on and off an escalator can be a risky endeavor, especially for those brave enough to wear flip-flops on their journey. The constantly moving motions and the sharp edges combine to form a risky procedure that one man did not succeed in completing. Hopefully, the only thing he lost that day was his shoe and nothing more. He probably had a lot of explaining to do walking around afterward. Shoes can make all the difference in a day. Heels can be painful and uncomfortable, but at least they offer a bit more protection from the teeth of an escalator than these flimsy flip-flops. Did you ever wonder what it is like to look inside the brain of a fish? Well, even if you never even once thought of it, you are now presented with the unique opportunity of meeting the barrel-eye fish. Yes, these fish really do have a transparent head. Apparently, this allows their eyes to collect more light, helping them with their tunnel vision. Whatever the reasoning, it's a pretty remarkable sight to see. This fish is sometimes nicknamed the spookfish, and it should be fairly clear why. Although his face looks friendly and harmless, the transparent head is a bit alarming. The rainfall just finished. Everything was quiet, and then someone walked outside their door to a very shocking image. Frogs were everywhere, covering the ground. But strangely enough, they were not moving. On the contrary, they were specifically spaced on the ground, equidistant from one another, facing the exact same direction. Were they waiting to attack, praying to a mysterious frog god, or taking part in some unexplained frog ritual? We will never know. What's more shocking than this unexplained photo is that even despite the presence of an outsider, the frogs barely move. This is the perfect example of how important timing is when taking a photo. The simple perfection of the timing of this capture creates the illusion of a horrifying, murderous ghost-like figure instead of a simple red bedsheet. Either way, the neighbors almost definitely had the scare of their lives when they looked over briefly and saw what appeared to be a ghost trying to enter their neighbor's house. Notice how calm the woman's expression is while facing such a scary danger. She probably had no idea of the illusion her bedsheets created until the photographer showed her this image. Winter is a magical season. Beautiful and unique snowflakes fall to create a blanket of pure white snow all over the ground. Delicate icicles form outside your window. You rush outside to build a snowman, but to your horror you see an icicle ghost hiding in the corner of your house. Your winter wonderland dream has become an icy nightmare. Imagine seeing the shadow of this bad boy in the night. Everyone loves ladybugs and appreciate their fun, bright red color that is covered in black dots. But how many people could claim to have seen a dew-covered ladybug? Well, now one more, you. If you didn't know better, you might think that this beautiful sparkling object was a beaded or a glass brooch meant to be worn as a decorative piece of jewelry. Who would think that it is actually a stunning close-up image of a ladybug covered in the morning's fresh dew? Honestly, though, someone needs to use this as an inspiration for a piece of jewelry to add to their collection for sure. Shadows can be deceiving. They can make you look tall and skinny or short and stout on a sunny day. A common slumber party game is to manipulate shades with hand shadow games and a flashlight. So never be surprised by the looks of a shadow and assume it's something that it's not, or you may just end up panicking like with this lamp's shade, which is dubiously in the shape of a massive spider. Unless you're living in Australia, it's unlikely that a spider of this size would make an appearance in any normal home. Although it is a very natural process for most reptiles and something that occurs on a yearly basis, there is something a little unnerving about finding a completely intact shell of shed skin. You can still see the expression on the lizard's face before it replaced its skin, a grimace of discomfort. Look at the perfectly intact neck wrinkles, complete with texture and everything, truly a work of art. Perhaps this is even creepier because it is only the head of the lizard, not even the entire body. Almost everyone who sees this photo initially thinks that these interesting shaped black specks found inside the crystal clear quartz are mini spiders trapped in their forever doom inside a rock, fossilized into a unique and spooky shape. However, looks can be deceiving. The rock is not infested with small black spiders, but rather manordite phantoms. This is what causes the somewhat stunning black spots hidden inside the quartz. These come in many different shapes and sizes. Sometimes they are small and plentiful, like in this crystal quartz, and other times they appear to be larger. Scary. The world will continue to debate for many years to come about the existence, or non-existence, of mermaids. Regardless of which side you're on, it's hard to deny the striking similarities between traditional mermaid images and this photograph captured of a beluga whale. Graceful, elegant, and disturbingly human-like, this whale seems to have a combination of a tail and also human-like legs, although they do appear to be stuck within the tail itself. Maybe the original imagery for all mermaids was actually based on the sighting of a few beluga whales, seen from this very particular angle. Monkeys are not only smart and cute but also come in all different shapes and sizes. Perhaps one of the most unique monkeys in the wild is this proboscis monkey with a noticeable and fascinating nose. It would be interesting to know what other use this extra large nose provides these primates in the wild, as they most certainly have a purpose beyond making them look kind of funny. Most people are so busy looking at this fellow's nose, that they tend to ignore the beautiful hair and bib-like mane around his head. And don't forget to enjoy the shocked expression of his gaping mouth. The Taihang Mountains of China boast one of the most impressive and shocking examples of interesting architectural choices. Even though there is certainly a very rational explanation of why you would build this crazy-looking structure up the side of the mountain, you would really hope so. It's hard to imagine a rational excuse when looking at this daunting staircase. 300 feet of spiraling steps await anyone brave enough to venture on this exhausting journey to the top of the mountain. Besides the pure difficulty of climbing this to the sky, it really doesn't appear to be very sturdy. What do you do when your oven sends out a pure and honest cry for help? You can't just ignore its simple pleas. Although most people would argue that an oven cannot talk and is merely a machine used by humans, this oven would beg to differ. Interestingly, most ovens can only form numbers on their screens, as letters are pretty useless. But again, this machine seems to be an exception. Sadly, it's a bit unclear what kind of help this oven actually needs and what steps can be taken to relieve it. Hopefully it will only be a short time before everything is back to normal. Hopefully, this playground is merely some sort of practical joke and no person ever sets foot on it. Besides the question of how on earth anyone could actually reach it, surely there is not a person on earth who would want to risk that slide of certain death. Both of the playground slides lead right off the roof of the building. Why would anyone ever place the setup there, and how did they manage to place it there at all? Although the colors do match the strangely bright yellow and red paint of this unlabeled building, hopefully, both the building and the playground are just abandoned. There comes a time in every plant's life where it shows its true colors. Perhaps that day came a little early for this pomegranate. Its white seeds, which are supposed to be a bright juicy red, are outwardly exposed to create a terrifying display of teeth-like creepiness. The boding smile is more of a mocking leer, and it's nearly impossible to ever look at any pomegranate the same. The fruit almost seems to be trying to copy the scary look of the famous plant from the Little Shop of Horrors. Although that one was more of a Venus flytrap, this pomegranate seems to be doing a good impression. No one in their right mind would be able to guess what this strange spider-like monster really is. All that is clear is that the imminent takeover of the kitchen is inevitable. You'd certainly be shocked to learn that this monster is actually a quite harmless bag of potatoes that was left unattended for far too long. Seeing that they weren't being used for cooking, they protested and grew insanely long roots to bring attention to their existence. Note to self: never leave a bag of potatoes alone in the kitchen for months. You may return to an entirely new organism living in your kitchen. Everyone is familiar with the common phrase, "if walls could talk." Well, in this case, the phrase should be "if the roof could talk," because it would certainly have a lot to say. It looks like it's ready to talk even now, albeit not with the best of news based on the menacing look it is providing. It is a little bit disappointing that this lovely roof lady is lacking a nose. Can you tell if this was an intentional piece of artwork or if it's just a strange coincidence? Either way, it must look significantly creepier at night with the lights coming out of the windows. For thousands of years, people have been claiming to sight big and terrifying monsters in the sea. Of course, the world is full of sharks and whales and more, but humans always claim that there is something else. This picture almost seems to be the perfect evidence of the crazy monster's existence, until you realize one thing: this is actually just seaweed. Yes, it is a lot of seaweed. And yes, the seaweed is enormous, but at the end of the day, it's still just seaweed. Even if you weren't expecting guests for afternoon tea, this turtle had a different plan and will happily intrude on your quiet time at home. Don't worry, he's probably quite friendly. It's just that your wall happened to be in his way, and instead of walking around, turtles do walk quite slowly, he opted for barreling right through by digging his way. Well, at least these homeowners don't have mice. That's going to be it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know which photo you thought was the craziest, and consider subscribing. See you in the next one real soon. Bye!